Hello everybody and welcome back to our channel. Today we'll be reviewing Lewis marble top dining table, a truly spectacular piece. Let's dive into its details. Let's start from its main features. So we have these beautiful marble tops with these angled corners. Okay, this is true for the square and rectangular versions and not for the round versions as well, of course. And all the perimeter is carved and rounded. Okay, the marble tops are 2 centimeters thick, and beneath the marble tops there's a supporting structure which is lacquered. Okay, this is 2.5 centimeters thick. So we have 2.5 plus 2, a total of 4.5. Underneath this supporting panel, which supports the marble, there are these beautiful spoke base legs, which are angled, just like these angled corners. And of course, we have 4 of them. And they are wooden, and they connect to this metal structure. This is very sturdy. It's probably 10 centimeters wide and I would say yes, 10 centimeters high. It could support an elephant, just to make a joke. And to this X shape, all these legs, these very sturdy legs, are connected. These legs are solid wood oak, which is available in many different colors. And these legs are made precious by this metal insert, which can also be customized in different colors. One additional concept about this sort of design, you know, when you design a high-end dining table, especially with this sort of dimensions, often you start with a decorative central base support, and but at the same time these central supports sometimes are not very ergonomics for, don't offer the best ergonomics for people sitting around the table. So in this case, what we thought was, okay, we have a standard 4 legs table, but we want to make it precious, so we described how precious and peculiar the legs are, how they are angled, the structure and so on, but you can feel how every user around the table has great space for their legs, and so better comfort. Let's talk about the different formats. So we have square tables, then we have the round versions. I must say that the courtier shapes are, you can perceive them better. I would say they're even more valued when you choose the square or the rectangular format, but we also have the round version available with the 120 diameter, which seats 6 people, and the 160, which seats easily 8 people, even more, I would say. And then we have the rectangulars, just like this one, with a certain variety of measures, because we start from the very tiny ones. We have the 120 by 90, so I could say a kind of kitchen measure. And so if you want to have a precious and very high-end kitchen, you could go for this model. It could be great as a second table in an important sitting room. For example, it could be a table specifically meant to play cards with your friends and guests, and so you would not need a huge table for this purpose. So we have the 120 by 90, the 140 by 90, and then we get to the bigger ones. So we have the 180 by 100, which is good for a reasonable size dining room. And then we have the big ones, 220, 240, 260, which is this one, and then the 280 by 110. So here we are looking at the 260 by 110. It's truly beautiful, astounding, I would say. When you get onto these sort of dimensions, you must always take into consideration how will I carry the marble inside my home. So it's not about who is doing the job. It could be you, it could be a set of technicians that you hire locally. It could be someone provided by us, but in any case, you as the purchaser, you must assess how will it pass through my entrance, through my doors, to my staircase. So it's something important. It happened recently, for example, with a sofa. which would not pass through the staircase. You can imagine that with this sort of top, which is, of course, it's a single piece of stone, it's 260 by 110, it's very heavy, not only for the stone, but also for the lower support. You need at least 4 people to move it. And these 4 people, of course, they make a certain effort to move the marble, for example, in a linear path. But this effort that we're going to make is much higher, for example, when going up a staircase. Sorry if I insist about this, but this is really important. Let's talk about the main character of the essence of the Lewis table, which is marble. So we have 4 matte marbles, matte finish marbles, and 15 glossy finish marbles. There are in the selection, in these 19 options, there's a selection of truly unique materials. Every material has its own story, has its origin, and you know, when you select, for example, in a collection, you select 3 marbles, you might get Carrara, which is a beautiful marble, but it's also quite a standard in Italy. You could get Nero Marquinia, you could get Green Alps, you could get, for example, Emperador, and those are the 2, 3, 4 standard marbles that you find in most collections. When you want to build a selection of 19 marbles, in these 19 marbles, you start searching and you start finding very unique materials, each one with its own story and features. For example, here we have the Blue Island, glossy finish. And first of all, well, it's not blue, but the Blue Island is the commercial name, and it tells a story. It tells a story of the Earth, I would say, because every top is different from the other, because every block of the mountain is different from the other. And when we start looking into Blue Island in detail, well, of course, it's a cream color with some shades of gray onto it. Some parts are more beige, some parts have a bit of gray. You can see all these tiny, slight stains, I would call them, which creates movement, okay? And then you have these lines, these brown and gold and bronze lines, which intersect in, I would say, random ways. And this is the beauty of nature. And what I truly love is these tiny black specks that you find around the brown veins. And I don't know if I'm too imaginative, we can see them on the other side as well. I don't know if I'm too imaginative, but I imagine them to be just like leaves around a brown branch of a tree. And I'm not exaggerating. When I was preparing this review yesterday, I came here in the showroom and I said, wow, I had not seen it in detail. And well, I love it. I love it, but you must bear in mind that every top is different from the other. So when you buy a marble table, not only from us, but from anywhere, or it could be a marble piece for a kitchen top, you must take into consideration that you look at samples, you look at pictures, and of course you choose an origin, you choose a type of marble, but your actual piece will be different from, not worse, not better, simply different from what you have seen, for example, in a showroom. And this works for us or for any other brand. Anyway, a truly spectacular collection of marbles. So we said we have 19 different marbles. We also have, it's just random, we have 19 different finishes for the legs, because we have 9 finishes for the wood. It's oak wood, it can be it can be customized in different shades. And you can also have it in open pore with RAL colors, so hundreds of available colors. Bear in mind that oak has quite deep pores, so it means that with open pore lacquers you actually color the surface. It could be red, it could be green, maybe to match the marble that you choose. And underneath the lacquer you can still easily perceive, both in terms of touch and in terms of look, you can still perceive the pores and the essence, the features of the veneer and of the solid wood that has been used. And this metal insert, it's available in 10 different colors, standard colors, and also with the RAL selection. So potentially you have hundreds and hundreds of options of how to match these elements. So we've come to the end of today's product review. I hope that you liked it and see you next time. Bye bye!